It's the summer of 1986 here in New York City. City's in the grip of a scorching heat wave. Ronald Reagan's in the White House, Ed Koch is the mayor, and the New York Mets are on their way to the World Series for the first time in many years. But on the Staten Island Ferry, things are not quite so rosy. On a hot July day, just after the 4th of July, a man named Juan Gonzalez decides it's his day to go on a rampage. Mr. Gonzalez, who had arrived in America as a Cuban asylee, had been a career criminal, working in and around Times Square, running three-card Monte games. He ultimately buys a large sword and boards the ferry that day. As the boat passed the Statue of Liberty, something triggered in his mind. He goes crazy, stabbing and slashing up two decks of the Staten Island Ferry for a full 5 minutes. He only stops when he's confronted by retired police officer Eddie Del Pino, who holds Mr. Gonzalez at gunpoint until he finally complies and is taken into custody. By the time it was all over, a 71-year-old woman and a 61-year-old man died of their wounds, and 9 more were badly wounded. Now, as I said, Mr. Gonzalez arrived from Cuba and was permitted to stay in the United States as an asylee, who also arrived here from Cuba in massive numbers as part of the Mariel boat lift during that period, with unaccompanied minors. Thousands of young men between 16 and 18 who Fidel Castro had decided were counter-revolutionaries. What effect did this have? In the year following the boat lift, robberies in Miami doubled, and a full 1/3 of the murders committed in Miami were committed by the so-called Marielitos, those who came over on the boat lift. Here in New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania had to form a special task force to combat the wave of crime that they saw coming from these asylees. Now again, the vast majority of the asylees are not here to commit crimes. But again, do the math. There were about 125,000 Marielitos who arrived in Florida and dispersed throughout the country. We have had, in the last 2 years and change, between 5 and 6 million. If even a small percentage of them are like Mr. Juan Gonzalez, you'll have an understanding of why police officers are getting beaten up with impunity in Times Square by crews that almost certainly go back to prisons in their own country. I'm Paul Morrow for the Ops Desk.